Good evening and a very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you to the Football Fan Zone, and it is an absolute pleasure to welcome my co-host Craig Filer. Craig, how are you tonight on this lovely, lovely Sunday night?
Good evening, Tonci. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, I'm well. Had a nice, relaxing weekend and ready to start off back into work tomorrow. So looking forward to another good show tonight.
Well, the only crazy people that work on a Sunday are us and and other reporters and Watch Your Nots and all of that. So we're here tonight to bring you heaps and heaps of, discussion topics, interesting topics, interesting items to discuss, to break down, to suggest, to comment. And we want to hear from you listeners out there. And basically, Craig, no topic is off limits. Isn't that right?
That's right, Tonci. It's the listener show, so they can phone in, text us, get on live on air, and debate any topic that they want. It's their show, so as long as it's clean and decent, then we'll get you online and you can talk about whatever you want, whether it's the change in easing of the restrictions, whether it's the back to training, whether it's the EPL, whether it's the German Bundesliga, or whether it's the Maltese league. You can choose what you want, as long as it's clean and decent.
Speaking of the Maltese league, who is up the top at the moment? If for anyone from George Cross,
absolutely
very
no
good
idea.
Sponsors of ours. If they're listening in, make sure to tune in. But speaking of tuning in and speaking of being a part of tonight's show, text us on 0497 151 234. I'll give you that number again. It's 0497 151 234. If you haven't got that number, it's the very, very top of our comments section there. So make sure you tune in. We'd love to hear from you. We've had some ripper callers, Craig, in our first two episodes. Last week, we had a bit of a break, Queen's birthday long weekend. And, mate, it's all because of you, because you went out bush. Tell us a bit about your bush bashing adventures. I heard it was an absolute hoot.
I've heard a few things called bush bashing, but I've never seen your camping call it bush bashing before, mate. So, I had my first experience of camping. I've had my first experience of camping in minus 1 degrees up on the Murray River, and it was absolutely fantastic. No phone lines, back to nature, no change of clothes for 3 days. Didn't change my underpants for 4. Didn't have a shave, clean my teeth. It was fantastic. And I had no women around to tell me what to do. It was even better.
That's probably what made it the best thing. Absolutely, mate. On Thursday night we had
as my wife just looks through the door and gives me a dirty look.
Yeah. on Thursday just gone by, we had the CEO of Western United. He was very, very forthright. He had some opinions of his own, and one that really was interesting and really kind of I guess. For me, was I found interesting was the idea of winter, not moving to winter. That is the A-League not moving to winter, that it would be disastrous. And we've got a whole topic about that, a whole article about that has been mentioned. But that could be a topic for discussion. Should the A-League move to a winter competition? I know we've talked about the A-League so many times over the last few weeks and the things that have been right and the things that have been wrong. But look, definitely I think one of the things that we want to talk about is where to now? Where to now for football in this state? We've talked about the restrictions this morning. We've talked about the easing of the restrictions. What's your suggestion? What's your opinion about that? We'd love to hear from you all. It is episode 3 of the Football Fan Zone, and it's all about the fans. Craig, have we got anyone on the line yet?
No, we haven't. We haven't had anybody ring through yet, Tonci. No text messages or anything today, so a little bit quiet, but I'm sure they'll start to warm up soon. And remember, we won't be answering any questions that's put into the chat. So if you do want to get on that phone number, 0497 151 234.
Okay, well, we're going to take a little bit of a commercial break, if you like. When we return, we will then have, hopefully, our very, 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 very first caller on the line. Have you got a business and you want to promote your brand to a ready-made audience? Have you got a birthday coming up in the family and would like to send that someone special a special message? Then why not consider a sponsorship on the Football Out West show? With an ever-growing audience right across Melbourne's western suburbs and the surrounding regions of Wyndham, Melton, Geelong, and even as far as Ballarat, your business or that special person in your life could become a household name. More importantly, you will be armed with the knowledge you are being part of a football show that is fast becoming a movement and a catalyst for great change in our wonderful game locally. The revolution is here, and we want you to jump on board and be a part of it.
CMF Soccer Coaching offers tailor-made personal and small group development coaching throughout the western suburbs of Melbourne and Greater Geelong. With over 20 years of experience working and playing within the academy systems of several professional clubs in both the UK and Australia, CMF Soccer Coaching has a player-first philosophy to ensure that all sessions are tailored around the individual's needs at all times. Under the guidance of UEFA and AFC qualified coaches, we specialise in one-on-one and small group coaching sessions, offering European-style academy-level training with the sole aim of improving players' technical and game understanding in a safe, friendly environment. If you are new to the game or a seasoned campaigner looking for some additional coaching, then we can help. To find out more about what we can offer and how we can help you improve your game, visit our Facebook or Instagram pages for more information, or simply email us at cmfsoccercoaching@gmail.com.
Welcome back to the Football Fan Zone, and it's all about the fans tonight. And
Well,
Craig,
not at the moment, Tonci. We haven't had anybody ring through, so it's clearly not about the fans tonight. Nobody seems to want to in.
well, folks, we want you. There's a few people on the comments section giving some comments, but we don't want comments in the comments section. We want you to ring up. So come on, football people are tough people. We're not scared. We're not embarrassed. We're not shy. We've all got an opinion. Every football person has got an opinion. So that number now is 0497 151 234. Now, those two commercials, Craig, that we just passed by, you sent me a comment on our exclusive host chat that all you folks out there can't see, saying that there was no sound. I sort of heard sound from my end. Now, if we can have some...
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything my end, so I'm not sure
right?
whether the listeners could. If you could let us know on the chat, chat, whether you can could hear the adverts. That would be great. So we do have some technical issues sometimes, so it'll be interesting to see whether you did get that. But let's see if we can get some debate. Oh, look, Tonci, we've got a caller on the line coming through by the looks of it. Let's see who we got. Bear with us a second.
Okay. While Craig is busy getting that person, whoever that is, it's great we finally got someone on the line. Just a reminder, you can now become a member of the show, of the Football Out West show or the Geelong Region Soccer show. It's quite easy. It's www.patreon, that's patreon.com/ either the Geelong Region Soccer show or Football Out West show. So either of those two, you are able to log on. We've actually got 3 members now, 2 gold VIP members, Paul de Blasi and Vladimir Zetovic, and we've also got 1 silver member, Christopher Cruz. So thank you very, very much to Vlad, to Paul, to Christopher as well. Those 3 have joined up, and as of today, we've actually launched a members-only news bulletin or newsletter that goes out via email exclusively to all of our members. So that is a new thing. That is a new entitlement just for our members. So we're urging all members to get out there to really, really support this show and support these 3 programs that we've got. It's very few forums at the moment allowing people to have their opinion, allowing them to have their discussion as well. So it's great that we're able to provide you with this. We want you, the fans out there, to now jump on board and support it. Craig, have we got anyone on the line?
No, we don't. Unfortunately, we don't. We have Vlad, who you can probably speak about a little bit more, but Vlad's one of our gold members who just wanted to phone up and say that he's a gold member. So I think he wanted a bit of a mention on he wouldn't come on, but I'm sure you could give him a mention because you've got his full details there.
We just gave him a mention, Vlad. So while you were on the phone to Craig, we were just talking about our members at the moment. So a big thank you to all of our members so far that have signed up. So once again, www. I've forgotten the password. I've forgotten the email. I'll have to bring it up now. You can become a member by joining us at, no, it's not. It's at this one. I think it is. Here we go. The following website, www.patreon, so like patron, patreon.com/Football Out West Show. Show your support and become a member of the Football Out West Show, obviously of the Geelong Region Soccer Show and the Football Fan Zone. So absolutely, we got my brother Rado Prusac. He's a regular listener. Good on him. He says sound was good on ads. I could hear them. Kevin Thuma, Andrew Bozinov says good sound. Sound was good. Mark Galay. Thank you, folks. So thankful. Yeah, we have. It's been annoying, those issues, those technical issues. We're sort of starting to each week, Craig, get better and better at things. We're starting to introduce some graphics, starting to introduce a little bit of these overlays as well, up and down. So things are starting to move in the right direction. And thankfully, a lot of the time, the audio problems seem to not be a problem. But occasionally, from time to time, we have these issues. We do. Now,
so let's see if we can get things kicking off tonight, Tonci, and let's see if we can get some interaction with our listeners on the phone. Football Federation today announced, didn't they, that the start of the season or start of contacts within training can take place as of next week, which is the 22nd, which is a week Monday.
Yeah.
Which is great news.
Let's hold the fort there. It wasn't the Football Federation. Let's get this right. This was the actual Andrews government, the state government.
Oh, sorry, it was.
So there's we got to get that right, because I guess being a Sunday, people at FFE probably wouldn't be working today. I guess they got to get their head around it as well, see what they can do, because as you mentioned, a really good point was under 18s, they can start full contact from, when was it? 22nd of July.
22nd of June, full contract
for
juniors.
Yeah.
And competitions can go ahead as planned. So I would presume that will be from the 4th of July as announced last week.
Yeah.
But then the seniors is a strange one. That's
a strange one.
That doesn't kick off until the 13th of July, I think.
And it's saying competition.
Very strange.
Yeah. And then from the 20th of July, full competition can begin too. Now, that is very strange. I'm reading an article here, and as Craig has just gone off air, he looks like there's a caller about to come on. Now, it does say, and this is a really strange one. So I'm going to read this article from today. Local soccer clubs and other contact sports will be able to resume training for over 18s from the 13th of July, Andrews said, i.e. the Premier. And from the 20th of July, full competition can begin too. Supporting this gradual return to sport, clubs and community facilities will also be able to reopen their change rooms. Okay, right. 1 week of full contact pre-season training. We all know that's not going to be the case. We all know that that's not going to work. So ultimately, if you're going to get, I guess we'll bring Craig back on. Hey, Craig, you there?
I am, yep.
Okay, so we're just talking about the fact that the 13th of July is slated as the return to full contact training, and then the 20th of July, competitions can restart, including use of change rooms, etc. Now,
I've actually got somebody on the line who actually wants to talk about that, Tonci. So maybe we can get him on and he can have a chat about it.
Okay, good evening there. Who have we got on the line?
Oh, Tonci, it's me, Mario Gregorio from Corio Soccer Club.
Mario Gregorio, president of Corio Soccer Club. Fantastic, Mario, to have you on the program. Now, first of all, I want to thank you for thanking us for doing a great job. It's in the comment section there. We will make reference to comments made in the comment section if that person does come on our screen on our show. Mario, great to have you on board. A lot happening down at Corio Soccer Club.
Yeah, look, we signed 3 Italian imports with the help of Joey Giacomazzo. I hope Joey's listening tonight and supporting your show. But yeah, Joey helped us signing the 3 Italians. But I also wanted to talk about the news wasn't so great today, I didn't think, from Daniel Andrews, because the FV was hoping for contact training to start on June the 22nd, but he's now delayed it until July the 13th.
Yeah, it's a strange one for me. We were just talking about that, Mario, before you came on, that the juniors can kick off next week, I think week Monday, and the season plans for starting for the 4th. Yeah. But then the seniors don't kick off for another few weeks after that. It does. I don't understand the reasons around it, to be honest with you.
No, and I know the FV would have been talking closely with the government, but it's a bit disappointing that they believe that we only need 1 week's preparation of contact training before the season can start.
Yeah.
Well, it's impossible, Mario, isn't it? It's impossible. I mean, we really run the risk of injuries. 1 week is not enough.
They have slated July the 20th for the restart, which that's a Monday night, so we really can't start the season until July the 25th.
Yeah, 25th.
Yeah. So I guess that's the week commencing the July 28th. Yeah.
But what's the difference between the kids starting and the seniors starting? What's the difference? I don't get it, if I'm honest. I don't.
No, I don't either. It's a strange decision, but
there must be something behind it for them to do it. Otherwise, we'd all be starting on the 22nd, really. Wouldn't we?
No, it's a strange decision, which now puts the whole sort of competition in a little bit of jeopardy now. Now they've got to restructure their draws. They were hoping for a 16-week season starting on July the 11th and ending on October the 18th. But now with the 2-week delay, it's going to possibly hamper those the 16-round season.
Yeah.
Very disappointing.
Well, I know that obviously, because I'm involved with the MPL myself, that I know that the MPL is planned to go. I think they're playing two weekends. So the whatever it'll be, it'll be the 4th and 5th, and the following week, which will be around 7 and 8, and then 9 and 10 the following week, and then a 22-week season, which takes them up to the 1st of November, I think, off memory. And like I said, I don't understand the reason.
It's starting to get a bit late.
Yeah.
Now, Craig, because a lot of MPL clubs do start pre-season November, so it's starting to put the whole season in jeopardy. But a lot of clubs are raring to go. I know the State League one is in particular raring to go. Corio, and in particular Caroline Springs Georgies, who seem to be spending potentially spending a lot of money. That's the rumours going around, but we'll give it a good shot when we meet them at Corio. Hopefully, we play down at Corio.
Yeah, talk us through your three new signings, Maz, while we got you on.
Yeah, look, they're pretty well credentialed. One of them, Ivan Diadamo, played MPL in Adelaide last year and moved across to Melbourne. And through Joey Giacomazzo, who can speak fluent Italian, he had a bit of a discussion with him, and we were able to convince Ivan to play for Corio because we signed another 2 Italians, Lorenzo and Giorgio, and Ivan thought it was a good opportunity to be able to play with 2 other Italians. So they travelled together for training in Melbourne on a Tuesday and Thursday night. So yeah, he's quite enjoying it. And Ivan's pretty well credentialed. He's played Serie B and Serie C in Italy, and he's come to Australia to try and start a new life. He loves it here in Melbourne, and yeah, we're hoping he can really have a big impact for our club.
Yeah, fantastic.
Now, Mario, Corio Soccer Club, obviously a club I know very well, hailing from Geelong and covering the Geelong scene as well. But Corio in recent years has become a real, I guess, a starting block for a lot of imports coming to Australia, finding their way through the state leagues and then moving up to the NPL. And players like Ethan Gage, who I think now he's at George Cross, but he had a stint at Bentley Greens. And last year you had 2 fabulous English imports, MJ Monaghan and Curtis Bates. And I guess with all of the coronavirus that was in the UK, I'm sure they probably would have preferred to have stayed down under. But now you've got these Italians as well. What is it? Is it just you're willing to give?
Yeah, look, visa plays is something that we sort of tapped in 2 years ago, and they do bring a real high level of professionalism to the club, and also increases the level of professionalism with their own sort of local players. So yeah, look, the Italians will make an impact. Look, since I've signed them, I've had a lot of emails and messages coming through from other Italian players in Italy and even Japanese players in the last few days. So look, they're a great resource. I've been able to even tap into the possibility of getting some really high credentialed UK players back, with us next year. So look, it's an opportunity. We want to be competitive for State One and provide opportunities for visa players. Hopefully they can move on to bigger and better things. So Ethan went on to Bentley Greens and South Melbourne Alice, now at George Cross. But Tyron Hutchins, the Canadian, he's moved up to North Geelong Warriors in NPL too. So, yeah, we're a bit of a stepping stone for a lot of these players. And I'm hoping to give them more opportunities.
And what's the reason, if you don't mind me asking, Maz, what's the reason for the visa players, of getting the visa players in? Because you mentioned then obviously a couple from the UK and obviously Japan and Italy.
Yeah.
Is it through lack of quality that you have to, or is it something else?
Look, Corio, we don't have an NPL sort of junior system or set up like North Geelong has in our own backyard. So to bring some quality through, yeah, I guess we do as a club have to bring visa players. These visa players have gone through academies, in their own countries, and a lot of them, their skill level is quite unbelievable. And we've been able to learn a bit from them. So look, it's something that we probably have to tap into until we get up our own junior setup going. It's something that it's going to be a long-term plan. It could take 5 to 10 years, but unfortunately, we don't have an under 17s or 18s at Corio, so we have to sort of prop up our talent with visa players, and a lot of them have come through academies of highly credentialed teams overseas.
Now, Mario, for other clubs that might be entertaining the idea, particularly the ones in state league, and you've touched on the importance of how good or the benefits some of these visa players who are experienced in having played in various academies are to, say, young up and coming players in the state leagues. But is it an expensive proposition to get a visa player over here, to sponsor them, find them accommodation, etc., etc.? What are some of the words of advice you would give other clubs? Obviously, no State One clubs, because you don't want any State One clubs doing the same.
No, look, a lot of clubs are doing it in State One. It's particularly if they've got a European passport or a Canadian passport in particular. It's easy to get a 1-year working visa into Australia. Hopefully that won't change next year with the COVID-19. But it's easy to get them a 1-year visa, a working visa, and if they choose to stay on, a few of them, they can move on to a student visa. So Lorenzo and Georgia, who we've recently signed, are on student visas. So look, a lot of people do want to come to Australia to sort of make a start of a new life. And yeah, there's no shortage of people applying to come and play in Australia because of our lifestyle. And we help them find accommodation and find them jobs and that. And they're good, hardworking and people of good character. These are people who have done it the hard way in their own countries, probably just haven't quite made it in the top leagues in their own countries. And I guess they then look at an opportunity like Australia, to start a new life. And it's been great for us in the last 3 years. It's probably the reason why we did get promoted last year. I mean, our visa players helped us enormously.
Oh, those two players, the English imports, like I said, MJ Monaghan and Curtis Bates, and they were absolutely brilliant. And locally, there were people that were neutrals coming along to watch these guys in action because they were just incredible. They really, really were.
Yeah, they were. But yeah, look, Curtis played League One for Scunthorpe, just didn't quite make it. I still believe he could have made it. For some reason, he just didn't get that opportunity. And he was enormous for us in the tight game, scored 18 goals in 16 games that he played for us. So, yeah, he was enormous. So I would highly recommend if you can find some good visa players, get them across. They were good, great guys as well.
Yeah. Perfect. So just before you leave us, Maz, what's your predictions? Where are you going to finish in the league? Top 2?
Well, it's hard to finish in the top 2 when there's rumours going around of some of the money being
money's not everything. Money's not everything, Maz. Don't score goals by money, mate.
It's not. We just want to. I'll be happy with a top 6 finish. That'll be a great effort for us if we can achieve a top 6 finish. Georges and Essendon Royals are definitely the 2 favourites with Sydenham and possibly Altona City. But look, if we can finish in the top 6, I'd be more than happy. That'd be a great achievement. And it's important for us to stay in State 1 because it gives opportunities for younger players in our region to play in a high standard competition. If you just don't quite make an NPL, they can have the opportunity to play at State 1 at Corio, and top 6 would be great.
Now, for anyone from Melbourne that has come up to Hume Reserve, they've often, been confronted by the really outdated facilities, and I'm sure you're going to agree with us on this down at Hume Reserve. But that is about to change, Mario, because, in the last a couple of months, I suppose, the City of Greater Geelong has come out and provided some money for a business case. Is that right? For a master plan at Hume Reserve, which will really revolutionise the club. Tell us a bit more about that before we head off.
We got some concept plans and drawings done last year, and the local council has agreed to expand on it further with more with construction drawings, and hopefully that will then lead on to funding within 2 years of we're hoping for around about a $2.5 million facility with 4 change rooms, a gymnasium, a new sort of function centre, club rooms for us, new kitchen bar. So with undercover, for the fans as well. That'll be a great a game changer for Corio and for the northern region of our of Geelong.
Brilliant. Well, mate, we wish you all the very best for the season. Hopefully things will get underway. Well, judging by today's news, possibly late July. But nonetheless, hopefully better late than never, as they say. And Corio's pretty well placed if it had to go into October or November. You've got your own ground that's football purpose or purpose built for football. So I suppose, would it affect you too much if the season was forced to go into November?
No, it won't. Pretty much nearly all the clubs in State 1 have got their own grounds and facilities. I think Fitzroy's soccer club may have a bit of a problem with cricket on their ground, unless they choose to play it at Richmond. But no, it will be pretty much right along with the other clubs, so we'll be fine. But look, thanks for the chat, Tonci and Craig.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Perfect. Good luck for the season, Maz.
Thanks a lot.
All the best. Cheers, mate. Bye.
Good on you. All right, guys, we're going to take a little bit of a break, another sponsors break. Hopefully in that sponsors break, then we'll be able to also get some more listeners coming on. So make sure you text us on 0497151234. Text us or call us on 0497151234. We look forward to speaking to you about anything that your heart desires on the Football Fan Zone. Have you got a business and you want to promote your brand to a ready-made audience? Have you got a birthday coming up in the family and would like to send that someone special a special message? Then why not consider a sponsorship on the Football Out West show? With an ever-growing audience right across Melbourne's western suburbs and the surrounding regions of Wyndham, Melton, Geelong, and even as far as Ballarat, your business or that special person in your life could become a household name. More importantly, you will be armed with the knowledge you are being part of a football show that is fast becoming a movement and a catalyst for great change in our wonderful game locally. The revolution is here, and we want you to jump on board and be a part of it. Welcome back to the Football Fan Zone, and it's all about the fans out here tonight. And Craig, that was great to have a president of a State League One club calling in. We'd love to hear from a few more presidents and supporters. It doesn't have to be committee members of clubs. It can be just average, everyday supporters of any club you like, and it doesn't even have to be a local club. It can be a club from interstate or overseas. But some good points made there by Mario Gregorio. And I'll tell you what, he's a very, very hard-working president. Not a big club, Corio, but they are going places. One thing that he failed to mention or forgot to mention, maybe we never got around to it, this year for the first time in a long, long time, they're actually going to have juniors, and they're building it all the way from the mini roos up. So there's some good days ahead for Corio Soccer Club. You know, a minnow down in Geelong, but certainly a club that's got some really good folk, hard-working folk, like a lot of the people we see at a lot of the clubs around town. Craig.
No, absolutely. It's he's a nice guy as well, Maz. He's as you said, he puts a lot of time and effort into that club. As you said, it's not a very small, it's not a very big club, and they don't perhaps have the talent pool available to them. But he does put a lot of hours and effort into. And if you've never been down to Hume Reserve, they've got probably one of the best playing facilities in State League One. I would imagine it's immaculate down there. But unfortunately, the change rooms are a little bit less than perfect. But hopefully that'll change. That'll change in time. But just looking back at some of the comments, guys. You know, we see a lot of comments on Facebook throughout the week, Tonci, from coaches, football personnel, whether they're coaches, presidents, whether they're just football people, all having a moan or a debate about something. But they've all gone very quiet tonight. There must be something on the TV, or they're all very shy. But we don't have one phone call coming in at the moment. So
they're all watching The Voice.
You want to speak about, and you want to get it off your mind, even if you just want to phone up and have a chat with us. Pick up the phone 0497 151 234 and have your 5 minutes of fame.
Now, we are going to announce the winner of the YouTube battle during the week, and it is by an absolute mile. It was the Football Out West show. So if you just come down in the last show, you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Well, we put out a challenge. We put out a challenge to viewers of the Geelong Region Soccer Show. We also put out a challenge to the viewers of the Football Out West show. Who would be by the end of the week, by the end of as of today, which program would attract more YouTube subscribers? And by a score of 33-23, it was the Football Out West show, commanding lead. So they defeated the Geelong folk quite easily. But tonight it appears that Geelong is 1. The Western Suburbs, Wyndham / Western Melbourne is 0, because we've only got one caller, and he's from Geelong. So well done to Mario Gregorio, president of the Corio Soccer Club. But we don't have anyone else ringing in yet. We've got quite a good amount of people tuning in tonight to the show. So don't tell me they're all zombies, Craig. They're all just waiting for the next person to call.
They're all shy, Tonci. They're all shy. None of them want to ring in there. Oh, look out. We've got a caller. Let's see if we can get this guy on. I know he'll normally have quite a bit to say. So let's see if he opens up.
All right. So whilst Craig is now talking to, he's off air, and he's going to be talking to whoever this new caller is. Another challenge has gone out to all you Western United supporters. So any Western United supporters have a comment on your CEO. Well, there was just on Thursday that we had the what's it called? We had the CEO coming on last week. It was and we were talking to Chris Palavanis. The name just slipped my mind for that. He talked about Diamante, Alessandro Diamante, and how he, well, not only do they want him next season, but they also want him to be at the club after he retires. There was talk about Western United talking about, Chris Palavanis mentioned, moving to a winter time slot would be disastrous for the A-League. An interesting comment there. He talked about the desire to have a W League side as quickly as possible, and also the academies. So there's a lot of interesting points that were raised there. So any Western United supporters, we know you're listening. We know you were listening on Thursday. Give us a ring and tell us what's on your mind. Craig, have we got anyone on the line?
We do. We have a chap that comments quite regularly on both our shows. He's a coach in State League 2.
Let me guess. Is this Santino Mamoni? He's always commenting about.
No,
something.
it's not. He's another shy one, but I do see a lot of banter going between this gentleman and Santini. So it's welcome to the show, Kev Thurma. How are you?
Kev, how are you?
Good, yourself?
Very well, mate. Very well. It's great to have you on. We often are blessed with your comments in the comments section, both on a Thursday night's program as well as tonight. So it's great to have a long-time listener, as they say, and a first-time caller. So, Kev, what would you like to talk about?
Oh, look, I just want to sort of put the thing out there of, what's the league structure going to look like? Initially it was if there's 12 teams, it'll be a 16-week comp, but starting end of July, it doesn't look like there's going to be 16 games fitting in unless they try and squeeze midweek games in, or maybe those teams that struggle with ground availability, maybe they're going to play their games early, or share grounds. Who knows? There's been no information about that from the federation. They've been quite quiet.
Yeah, isn't the cutoff date for teams that want to stay in the league or pull out? Isn't it tomorrow, the 15th?
Is that just the NPL, Craig? Was that just NPL, or was that?
No, I think it's generally everybody that wants to pull out or play. They have to register their intent by, I think it's 3:00 tomorrow afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And once that's done, then they're locked in. I've seen a number of clubs today on Facebook saying that they've committed to the season. It's now time to get their juniors registered. So I think we'll probably know more over the coming days, Kev. Once we know, or sort of once the Football Federation know how many teams are pulling out or staying in. But since the second team, and I can't remember the name of the Keysborough, wasn't it? Pulled out.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any rumblings of any other clubs looking to pull out, so it'd be interesting to see what comes out over the next couple of days, because I'm sure by Wednesday, Thursday, we normally have some kind of notification from Football Federation around Thursday, Friday. So I would imagine we know by the back end of this week where we are. But it's going to be very interesting to see what comes up and how the leagues look. What are you hoping for, Kev?
Oh, look, I was hoping for at least 16, even though, to be honest, to have 16, you play top half and then bottom half. Really, the bottom half got nothing to play for, so that becomes a waste of 5 games, really. But that'd be a good opportunity for some young kids to get opportunities. But
yeah,
I just want to play sooner rather than later. I guess it's sort of become a 6-month pre-season, getting pretty boring, especially with no contact training sessions and stuff like that. All the boys are.
How are you finding that, Kev?
What's that?
How are you finding the non-contact training?
Oh, look, it's difficult at times. It's probably more difficult to keep the boys engaged and motivated through this whole process. You know what I mean? It's now been, normal pre-season in Australia is long enough with a good old, 3 or 4 months off season and then another 3 months of pre-season. But then it's been another 3 months on top of that. So it's the hardest part is keeping people engaged and motivated.
Yeah.
Wanting to come train and wanting to come and have a kick
how are you doing that? You're at Mill Park, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm at Mill Park. Yeah.
Seniors, is that seniors?
We've got a bit of banter and a bit of fun and just try to make the sessions a bit enjoyable because the boys have come back really fit and all really keen to have a kick. For them it's not financial. They just want to play with each other and enjoying each other's company, that type of thing. So we've been pretty lucky, but I think speaking to a lot of coaches out there, it's just there's only so much you can do without contact. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, Kev, do you reckon because probably one of the reasons why there's been a lack of or maybe motivation or movement from a lot of the players and clubs and coaches is because obviously they don't know anything about when the season's going to start, and it's always difficult. But now that we've got a little bit of a better indication that at best we won't have a season starting until end of July, and we're going to have full contact as of July 13. Now that we've kind of got a little bit of that light at the end of the tunnel, do you feel, what's your gut feeling telling you? Will the clubs now start to become a little bit more engaged and teams and what you're not? Will we start to see things returning to normality, or will we see more and more teams and clubs start to pull out?
tough one. Like I think there's so much on clubs' plates at the moment in terms of all the protocols to go through, and making sure clubs have got sponsors, and and most committees are all people. Not most committees, all committees are people who are volunteers. And, I know from our club point of view, we've had to have pretty much all hands on deck. And there's a few guys there do an absolute amazing job. But it's almost become a full-time role for some of the guys there. You know what I mean? Like get there at 5:30, set everything up, leave by 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then some of them are going to work at 5 a.m. the next morning. So it's a tough one.
Yeah.
For us coaches, it's not too difficult. You go there, you do your session, you go home. But we got guys getting there, 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I know some don't leave till 11, and they do a great job, but it's become tough for them.
And I tell you what, Kev, the other thing is how much work behind the scenes a lot of these administrators had to go through. As you said, they had to basically jump through hoops and organise it just so that training could be done under vastly modified means. A lot of people don't see that. So I really want to thank every one of those club volunteers around Victoria that are just doing an amazing job behind the scenes that no one actually sees. So, kudos to all of them.
And more so through this time, I think, as well, Tonci. Through this period where there's still a lot of uncertainty about how things go. So clubs are having to sort of plan twofold, I suppose, because they don't really know what's going to happen. So I see there's a lot of movement in State League One for sure. There's a lot of transfer rumours speculated around the trap. So there's obviously clubs doing some hard yards for when the season does kick off again, and that will be the same throughout the leagues. But it's awful difficult. It's difficult. Kev said that he rocks up, does his session, but it's awful hard as well to try and keep players motivated when you don't know when it's all going to kick off, because you can't have a 6-week in pre-season where you can't tackle. It's impossible.
Yeah.
How are you doing that, Kev? How are you keeping the guys? You said about keeping them focused. How are you managing to keep them focused on the training sessions, just making them fun and
it does make it a bit fun. Obviously, we've got to make sure we get the work involved and stuff like that. Look, our boys came back in real good shape, so we're quite lucky. Like we try not to do the boring running, you know what I mean? Like we try and get the ball involved and stuff like that. We're just working on some shape stuff and a few tweaks that my assistant and I have sort of planned for with this extra time up our sleeve to go, well, let's work on a few things and let's try and fine tune a few things in the lead up to maybe if we have a season, which obviously now we sort of think we're going to have something. So for us it's just a bit of shape work and a bit of structure work. It is hard to obviously do a lot of that sort of stuff when it's non-competitive, but just trying to create habits and stuff, Obviously we still try and get some on the legs and do all that sort of stuff, but everyone does it differently, There's no right or wrong way. But
and why do you think the government have come out with the delay on the seniors contact and league? Do you think what's the reason behind that?
I read something earlier. I think it was around the fact that kids are less susceptible to get the virus. But you can have separating it between seniors, give a bit of time to see how the kids go, and then obviously with obviously adults being more chance to get it. I read that was probably the reason. My thing is though, how many parents are going to come to games, or is that going to be restricted to no parents coming to games, or maybe one parent coming to a junior game, or whatever. So that'll be interesting.
Well, I think the rules are going to be that no parents, isn't it, for the first few weeks.
So that becomes more of a burden on the coach and the club to having to almost babysit.
Yep.
9-year-old or whatever becomes what happens if little Johnny gets injured or sick, or who looks after that kid then? You know what I mean? But anyway,
it is what it is, mate. You're right. We'll get there, and I'm sure we'll be back on the pitch before long. And just before we do go, as I asked Mario, what's your target for the season for Mill Park? Sorry.
Oh, look, after a rebuild for this year, if we can finish in that top half and play in the top 6 group, I guess if it is a 16-round competition. Obviously, we'd be happy with that. Look, don't get me wrong, we all want to push promotion and that type of thing. But obviously, there's some heavy hitters chasing it, signing ex-A League players in our league and stuff. So, but yeah, no, definitely, I think we'll be hoping to be top 6 anyway.
Well, we wish you all the best with that, Kev, and thanks for phoning in, and thanks for your involvement week in, week out, mate. We really do appreciate it.
Really appreciate it, Kev. Great to have you on board as well. Thanks very much. He's gone, has he? He's already gone.
He has.
Yeah. That was Kevin Thuma from Mill Park. Mill Park, Craig in State 2. Is that right?
State 2, yeah. So Kev's came from, I think this is his first season at Mill Park. I think he may, it is. I think it's his first season, full season.
Yeah.
I think he's done a bit of a rebuilding job. He was at Cairnley for a number of years, did very well there, and has now made his way up to Mill Park. And I'm sure he'll do a great job of it. He's a good lad, and he's a great coach. So,
absolutely, and a great man as well, and certainly a great supporter of our shows. We really appreciate that. Welcome. You're listening. If you've just tuned in, you're tuned into the Football Fan Zone. It's episode 3 of our new Sunday night program. And Craig, once the season gets going, hopefully sooner rather than later, this program tonight will also serve as a bit of a results service because we'll be having all the results from all the various games. And I guess maybe they've staggered. They want to start off with the juniors first, then move on to the seniors a little bit later on. And I suppose it does make a little bit of sense. One, you're staggering so you don't have everyone coming in at the same thing. So if there is suddenly a mass breakout, it's going to be...
Nothing makes sense to me anymore, mate. Nothing makes sense.
I'll tell you,
if you watch the AFL and last, and I can't watch it. I watch 5 minutes of it, and then I have to put my foot through the TV. But you've got 13 blokes jumping on top of each other, holding each other down within centimeters of the face.
Yeah.
But you've got to sit 1.5 meters away on the touchline on the dugout. It just nothing makes sense anymore to me.
Did you see? It was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. We had it on the Geelong Region Soccer Show. In fact, and we had some footage of that when it was the Austrian Cup final in Austria, and when they had to present the medals to themselves. They've just finished 90 minutes of a full contact game. Even if you try your hardest not to make contact, you're going to make contact, and then all of a sudden at the end of the game, you have to stand 1.52 meters apart. Just did not make sense. Absolutely did not make sense. Very crazy.
No, it just beggars belief that all these regulations around, but the AFL can just do what they want.
Mate, I agree with you. Look, to be honest, sometimes I just play the devil's advocate, because this is what this show's all about. Looking at it from different angles and maybe sometimes not agreeing with everyone, but the whole point is sometimes, we're there to really kind of dissect everything and look at things from different angles. So folks out there, if you suddenly think Tonci's gone caboodle because he's come up with some ridiculously stupid opinion, it's because I'm playing the devil's advocate. I actually should have some devil horns or something like that. So when I put that hat on and I've got the devil horns, straight away that immediately that I am playing the devil's advocate. So did you get that, Craig? Sometimes I won't agree with you, but that's because I'm playing the devil's advocate. Now,
yeah, I did get it, Tonci, and that's what sport is about. It's everybody having their own opinions on stuff. And we did have a caller just coming through, but he seems to have dropped off, but he's coming back on. So
if that person
welcome
to ring back.
Who are we speaking to?
John Sultana, man. I think we hanged up or something.
I hung up.
Oh,
yeah.
Who's that? John.
We've got John Sultana from Altona.
How are you guys?
Good, John. Good. Very well. Thank you very much for being a part of tonight's show. And what would you like to talk about, John?
A couple of things. I remember a couple of weeks ago we talked about how the Federation was pretty poor on the communication. That guy rang up and that. I actually rang up that night as well.
Yep.
So I'm just sort of ringing. I still think it's pretty poor that we still don't really know. Now I talk through for the juniors, like community club juniors mainly as well. That really, I understand that there's no fixture yet because clubs have got till tomorrow to hand in their teams and whatever.
Yep.
But why can't we still know the rounds, like when we start. We know we're starting on the 28th at this stage, but when do we finish? Is it going to be a 16-round season, 18-round season?
Well, it's actually I think it's been pushed back to the 4th of July now, John, for juniors. 4th of July, finishing November the 1st.
Is that right? Has that been confirmed?
It hasn't been confirmed, but that's what I've heard on the down the grapevine, and a number of people have told me that over the last couple of days. So it was originally going to be the 22nd, wasn't it? And then they put that back because there was they were going to announce the contact, so it was put back to the 28th, and now I believe it's going to be the week after the 4th, with a finish date. Certainly in the NPL, is going to be the 1st of November.
Okay, so we're going to go probably then. No, because the reason I say that, because there's usually at the end of the year, there's always tournaments, like you got the Shepparton tournament and stuff like that we've actually booked for. So we just want to know if that's going to still go ahead. There's, you got teams doing trials at that time in November. That's for clubs to plan. You know what I mean? So,
John, it's an interesting one, John, because that's a huge tournament. Can I see it? Can I see it going ahead at this stage? I'd struggle to think that tournament would go ahead this year.
I doubt it.
Not with that many people in a short, in a small environment as it is. Although it's a big tournament.
Yeah.
There's a hell of a lot of teams, and you get a lot of teams traveling from abroad coming to that as well. Certainly New Zealand and Japan on a regular basis come over. So I'd hazard a guess that one would be postponed for this year, but who knows?
If anyone from the Shepparton tournament is
or cancelled, actually, not postponed, but but I mean, people have paid money for deposits and stuff on accommodation. So if we can get and people are being told if it gets cancelled, they will get their money back from the hotel people. But we just need to know, if it's going to be cancelled or not. So just things like that, tournaments, clubs do their own tournaments as well.
But those tournaments, John, sorry, but those tournaments, they're not Football Victoria. Are they organised? That's a private person that organises, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So ultimately, they're not going to, they're not going to now kind of try and synchronise what happens with a private tournament or trials at the end of the year. Look, I mean, this year is an unusual year. We're not going to have an 18-team season, 18-round season, or a 22-round season. We're not going to finish September. We understand this is going to be an unusual year, but I guess you can't really know when there's going to be a cut-off date, as in the season finishing, when you don't know how many teams there are going to be, and then obviously if you don't know how many teams there are going to be, you don't know anything. What fixtures is it going to be? As you said, a 16 or 18 or 12-round season. I guess you got to know how many teams are going to be competing in the first place. And I suppose this week we'll have a little bit of a clearer picture, or we hope so, now that clubs will have that final thing where they have to commit, either yes or no.
Well, it's tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I said 3 o'clock, but somebody popped up and said that it was 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So, I suppose we'll know, I would say Tuesday, Wednesday. There'll be an announcement.
Fingers crossed,
who's pulled out and who hasn't, and then we'll be in a better position.
But you're right,
it's very difficult, John. I know Altona have the Lightning Cup, I think they call it.
That's right.
That's been going for years, and there'll be a lot of other tournaments. Shepparton Cup is probably the biggest one, but I think it'll be. I think it'll be very different this year. I think Football Federation are more concerned about getting games back on and getting some kind of season up and running, than worrying about where the tournaments are going to take place. Because I think, as Tonci said, that's more an independent arm of football. It's nothing to do with Football Federation, although they might have to sanction it. I think it's a private venture, and I think the decision will come from the organisers of that tournament, I think.
Yeah. Another thing too, I was on your opinion, you had that, I think it was the president from Corio just before.
Yep.
And it's not a bugbear of mine, but just an issue that I think, we complain that, there's no opportunities for the young kids to play and come through, but and it's not just Corio, all the clubs do it, right? And but all these visa players, why? I know it's to get they see it as competing with the Joneses and stuff like that, but really, why couldn't you the money you give a visa visa player. You look at, say, an under-20s, you know, from an NPL team, and just look at, you know, maybe this is where clubs have got to work together, maybe, and you get a player on loan, a young kid on loan or something playing Divi 1, because Divi 1 is probably going to be better than under-20s in an NPL. Would you agree with that or not? You know, like.
Yeah, look, I'm smiling. If you can't see me on screen, I'm smiling because that's why I sort of asked the question to Maz, and I like Maz and I get on really well with him. But a bugbear for me is that there's too many foreign players coming into Australia, and it's stopping youngsters from. We talk about all the time about where's the next generation coming from. Generation are not coming if we continue to go abroad for players. That's the reality. That's fact. So we have to start playing young kids, and I know, you know, Maz has done that. You know, we spoke a while back on the Geelong Soccer Show, or Tonci did, about a young lad that's at North Geelong, and he's now 24, I think.
Yeah, Anthony Banavats. Yep.
Anthony Banavats. Yeah, he was at North Geelong in the youngsters. Went across to Corio for 2 seasons to gain some experience, and has now gone back to North, and he's an ever present in the club down there now. So, and I think there's opportunities if clubs talk. You just said it there, John. If clubs are too precious now. Okay, that's the problem. Clubs are too precious to keep older players, sometimes for the wrong reasons, when really we should be sort of saying, yes, if you look after them well enough, kids will always want to come back to the club that they've been involved with. And I think there's an opportunity for young players to go out and gain experience in State League 1, State League 2. I've had conversations with Kev Thurman, who was on earlier on, and I know it's very hard for clubs like Corio to get local talent when you've got 2 NPL clubs right on your doorstep. Where does that talent come from? So I do get where Mario is and what he has to do, but it won't be just Mario. It'll be the whole football fraternity.
Yeah, John. Look, John.
It just keeps getting worse.
No, but look, John, I know Corio very well. I know Corio very well because I did cover the state leagues in Geelong for the Geelong Advertiser for the last few years. So I know the situation at Corio very well. And Craig touched on it very well. There are 2 NPL clubs right on their doorstep, plus you've got Geelong Rangers, who last year was just up the road. So you've got in 2 kilometres radius, you've got 3 clubs that are going to be attracting a lot more of the higher profile players. But apart from Anthony Banavats, they've also had Lachlan McGrath, who also stepped down to State 2 for a couple of years and then worked his way back up at North Geelong. Josh Talev as well, last year, who was playing for NPL 2 with Geelong, wasn't getting a go, came to Geelong, to Corio and played there. But visa players aren't necessarily a bad thing, and I've seen it. When you can integrate visa players with some good young players, they actually provide some of that experience, because what they bring is professionalism at that level, especially State 1, State 2, for example. Most of the players playing there, caps off to some of them, to the few, but most of them are there for a social time. Some of them are there for money. But ultimately, when you're getting some of these players from overseas who are, for whatever reason, using that as a stepping stone to something else, guess what? They're going to impart some of their knowledge, some of their experience onto these young kids. And, Lockie McGrath, Anthony Banavats, Josh Talev, they have, I tell you what, they have gained so much by playing at a club like Corio. The other thing about Corio is they don't have juniors, or didn't have juniors, but they've got a lot of young players in their Resi's team who have been giving a go at that club, but they're poor facilities. They don't have the money, and they will struggle to get young players or even quality players from Melbourne coming up to Geelong. They just don't want to get bar of it. So in their own ecosystem, it's very hard attracting quality players from other clubs. So sometimes you got to do that. You got to supplement what you've got. You got to throw in players from where they want to come. And at the moment, Mario's on a good thing. So I guess we got to take each club as an individual case. I guess we can't sort of generalise.
Where are you coaching, John?
I coach at Altona City Juniors.
Altona City.
I only coach, juniors.
So Altona City have been one of the clubs that's always had.
I agree. I agree.
Always had the visa players coming through their door for years and years. And You know, I look back and think, okay, well, and they have got promoted, I think 2 or 3 times over the last 4 or 5 years. So, you know, it does work, but it does then put a burden on, or not a burden. It does put, you know, pressure on why we're not creating good young footballers, because those places are being taken up via visa players.
Yeah.
So I think the whole thing around football is about, you know, I think when you're in that top division, State League 1, the holy grail is to get into the MPL. That's the holy grail. So you're going to do is what you can, when you can, and try and bring in what players. Down the leagues, I think that's where the problem arises, where, you know, teams shouldn't be allowed to go. You know, certainly 3, 4, 5. There should be no reason why visa players should be playing in State League 3, 4, or 5. That's where you should be bringing in young players and developing those young players who can then go on and play in State League 2, 1, or MPL in future years. That's my opinion. As I said, football's great. It is about opinions, and it's a bugbear for me, and something that, you know, will continue to and unfortunately pop up every now and then. So
John, just a quick question. Like some of those visa players out at Altona City, have they been really beneficial for younger kids at the club? Have they become good role models, or have they, in your experience, as you say, just taken spots away from some of the potential young kids at the club?
Well, I think, and I'm not having a go at Karaya. I mean, I think all the clubs do it, right? And I'm not. Have they taken spots? Well, I think it's not so much they've taken spots, but I think the mindset of clubs is to get these visa players instead of maybe going out and looking at, you know, an under-20s kid at, say, at an NPL team, NPL club. You know what I mean? And maybe.
The problem is, though, John, and Sam, it was my next point. Sam Matthias here has just popped up and said the problem is the Australian players want more money than the foreigners, who are in most cases far more technical than the Australian players, and that's the problem. We've got bang average footballers over here demanding silly money when you can go and get 2 or 3 quality players from the UK or Europe that will play for far less. I know, and I harp on about, you know, not playing visa players. I was lucky enough to, when I was coaching, to have 3 young lads come over from Wales who I used to coach, and all 3 of them, one of them's playing MPL now in Sydney, one's had to go, and 2 have had to go back home. But they could have played top quality football over here, and let me tell you, they were paying $10 or actually $20 a week to play in the first division of Welsh football. So they were paying 20, and they come over here and there's a couple of dollars for them to be able to play. Now that's the big problem. So the problem is not the players coming here; it's the players that are here who want silly money. That's the big issue.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. Some of the budgets of clubs these days in like Divi 1, even Divi 2, is crazy money.
John,
but you can understand why clubs want to go abroad and get those players. Yeah. If you can get 2 or 3 players for $300, or you can get 1 player for $300, what are you going to do?
John, do you reckon the coronavirus disruption, the fiasco that we've had the last few months, do you reckon that will change things around, or will, once we think things get back to normal, everything will just continue as it once was?
Tonci, sorry, mate, but I'm having more trouble hearing you than Craig. I'm hearing Craig well.
Okay.
Can you just repeat that, mate?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, with all the issue with the coronavirus and all of the I guess everything that's happened over the last 3-4 months, can you see things changing as far as some of the inflated money that was involved in some of the lower league competitions, or once things go back to normal, will it all go, you know, as per it was?
Look, I don't think things will change with inflating of the money. I think as long as parents are willing to pay, I think they will, and clubs will charge accordingly. Because, see, the thing is too, with what I think is too, we want to educate coaches and this and that, and you have TDs, but then there's also a cost of that. And unfortunately, you know, we're not the number 1 sport here because we compete with the AFL. So parents have to pay, unfortunately. Whether it's a right or wrong thing, that's a different story. But it's just the way it is here. I really don't think it's going to get cheaper for kids to play.
I think I was talking more about the match payments. As someone says, Jordan Borg says, Div 4 and Div 5, some players are on 200 to 300 a game. Now, I know if that's fair income, but I do know that there are players in Division 4 and Division 5 getting money. Yet that's supposed to be amateur, 100% amateur. It's ludicrous, isn't it, that people are, and sometimes kids playing for money and not for the actual love of the sport. So, yeah, Craig, you're kind of right regarding local players costing more.
Yeah.
I agree. But I think the money will change for this year because I think clubs have lost sponsorships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So It's probably less money to go around, and they have to be a bit more, I suppose, precious with the cash for this year. But then I think if the sponsors come back next year and stuff like that, and then teams want to get promoted, it all starts in like if there's a team that wants to get promoted, so they're happy to spend out the cash, whether it's in the 5th division or the 1st division, it just sets off a chain reaction, really, doesn't it? And then the next club's got to compete with that club. So where they get the money, it's.
Yeah, I don't think it'll. I think it will change. I don't think sponsors will be putting as much money into clubs as they once were. Everybody's now strapped, shall we say? We know how many people have lost their jobs over the last 3 or 4 months, and for sponsors now to go and put the type of money they were in before, I think has gone. For how long, we don't know. But hopefully that'll make football a little bit more inclusive for everybody and make more clubs on the same level playing field. There will still be, your top end clubs, as I said, in State League One, State and MPL, because the Holy Grail is playing in that MPL structure. So they'll want to try and get promoted and get in there as quick as they can. But I think lower down the leagues, I think it will become more of an even playing field for everybody. Let's hope so. Let's hope, because nobody likes seeing players, clubs playing $300-400 out in State League 5. It's nonsense.
It's crazy. That's crazy. $300-400 at State League. That's crazy money.
Yeah, absolutely. John, thank you very much for your contribution to tonight's show. We've had some great callers tonight, Craig, and John. Your comments were certainly very, very, very worthy of discussion, and they were quite interesting as well, and an interesting take on things. So really appreciate it, and hope you're enjoying all our shows, John. He's gone.
He's gone.
Oh, we'll take one more caller now. Since we've started this show, Craig, we've just had male callers ringing in. I would like at least one female caller to ring us in to tell us about something about the women's side of the game, to talk us from a female's perspective about what is happening, from a soccer mum's perspective, maybe someone who follows the W League, to talk about Chris Palavanis, how he said Western United would love to have a W League side tomorrow, but they can't at the moment because of issues, financial or from headquarters or whatever the case may be. Come on, girls. It's your turn to now ring us in. The World Cup, the Women's World Cup, that's also coming up, or the decision is coming up, I think it's next week or in about 10 days' time. What do you think? Does Australia stand a chance of acquiring the hosting rights for the Women's World Cup in 2023? And if we get it, what will that mean for soccer? What will that mean for women's soccer in this country? We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you now. Text us on 0497 151 234. We've got Craig coming on. Hello, Craig. You're back.
I am back, Tonci, and I have a caller that's come through on WhatsApp. Funny enough, he didn't come through on the phone line, but he's come through on WhatsApp, and it's
could this be an international call? Yes,
all the way from Moscow.
Oh, you're kidding?
No, it's Vladimir Putin. He wants to have a chat about the Russian league.
We should cue.
No, we've got a good friend of mine. He's now married his beautiful wife over there, or he actually married her over here, and moved over to Moscow a few
So he
months
actually is
ago.
in Russia.
Daniel, welcome to the show, mate.
How you going, guys? Hope all is well back in Oz.
Daniel from Moscow. Well, this is an absolute pleasure having an international caller on our show tonight. Daniel, you're originally from Melbourne, are you?
Yeah, I am. I grew up in Melbourne's West, so I'm a local boy in Melbourne, and moved over here a few years ago to be with my girlfriend at the time, now wife, and
fantastic.
I'm a regular listener to the show, so it's good to be on and having a chat.
Well, we're very privileged.
There's a funny story, actually. Dan, I hope you don't mind me mind me mentioning it. Dan played for Point Cook when I was at Point Cook, and he's one of the nicest lads you could ever wish to meet. I think your brother plays for Westgate. Yeah, that's right. There's a little bit of a funny story of as actually how you met your wife, Dan, isn't there? Was she not? She was. Do you want to let am I okay to mention that?
Oh, you can go ahead.
Go ahead.
Crack
on. Tell us how you met her, Daniel.
I went for a tour to the East of Europe, and there's a tour guide, and that's how I met her.
So she was your tour guide, and you ended up marrying her. Fantastic. Anyway, mate, what did you want to speak about tonight?
I want to discuss how people are. I mean, the training's starting over there. A full contact a week before they're expected to start. I find that ludicrous in a way because, I mean, they've got a week to have full contact training. I mean, everything's starting up here again in Europe. All the top leagues are beginning again. I mean, Russia starts again next week. But is there going to be any modifications? Like, back in Italy, they wanted at least a month of full contact training before they started. That's why the league started next week as well, and the cup started this week. Is there any modifications going to happen back home? I mean, they're letting 5 substitutes happen in Europe. Are they going to do anything back home to accommodate this? Because I can see injuries happening to all the players back home. And these are professional clubs asking for 5 substitutes.
Do you want to answer that one, Tom?
Oh, okay, yeah. Look, that's a great point. That is a fantastic point. And I was watching some games over the weekend or last week, during the week actually, of some of the European leagues. And one of them was in fact the Croatian league, which I guess is on par with probably the NPL down here, the NPL 1 competition. And it was interesting. The coaches were absolutely wrapped with the 5 substitutes rule. And they said it's something that should stay. And basically, it allows a coach to effectively change half his team, half his outfield team, and it comes all down to tactics. And entire structures can change, and entire games can change as well. And from a coach's point of view, they seem to think it's the bee's knees. It's the best thing that ever happened. So I would venture to say something along those lines may come into our game here as well. But look, Football Victoria has sent out in correspondence to the clubs that there has to be 3 weeks of pre-season training for juniors and 4 weeks of pre-season training for seniors. Now, that's full contact. So if Daniel Andrews has said, as of the 13th of July, you can have full contact training, and as of the 20th of July, you can have full contact competition. Well, I think Football Victoria, will come back and say, okay, well, if training can start on the 13th, forward 4 weeks after that, that's when our season will start. Because, as you said, it's ludicrous to expect we're only going to have 1 week of full contact pre-season training and launch straight into the games. Daniel Andrews is talking, and looking at a fella like Daniel Andrews, he doesn't look like someone who's been playing sport lately. So I think he's so out of touch when it comes to sport.
What you're saying there, Tonci, about, and it's a great question, Dan. I've been listening to or watching Opta Sports the last couple of days, and last night they had the daily report, which was about Spurs and Arsenal, and they had the show tonight. Last night it was Wolves and Sheffield United, but the night before was Spurs and Arsenal. And they were talking about the 5 substitute rule that's come into place. And for people like Oh, what's his name? Striker for Spurs, England captain, Daniel.
Kane.
Harry Kane. Yeah.
Harry Kane, that's him.
Harry Kane, who's been injured hell of a lot over the last couple of seasons with his groin, with his hamstring, with his ankle. Obviously, he's had now 4 or 5 months out of, to be able to get himself ready. But what it allows managers to do and coaches to do now is they can rest those. If you only had 3 substitutions, sometimes you would struggle to perhaps protect your players that you need to. When you've got 5, you can actually protect them a little bit more now. So to stop them becoming more injury prone. So I think I'm with you, Tonci. I think the Football Federation are going to have to come out and say that it's going to be at least 3 weeks. Full contact training before games can start, because otherwise, you're right, Dan, there's going to be injuries left, right, and center, and that's not what anybody wants after missing 4 months of football. So I know you're very much into your fitness and looking after yourself, but would it worry you?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, definitely. I mean, our restrictions
Absolutely.
this week, and just trying to get back to training. I've already done an injury myself just because of, the sudden change of not being training properly for so long and then training again. But that's all right. And I like the 5 substitute rule as well, because development and youth is a problem in Australia, and it doesn't. If you want to get foreign players in, that's fine. But if having that 5 substitutes, it gives there's 2 extra players that can be substituted on. It gives those younger players a chance, maybe late in the game, just to get some time on the pitch. So, I like it. I saw a young 18-year-old come onto the field on the Coppa Italia on Friday. If there wasn't 5 substitutes, he wouldn't have got a chance. So it gives them exposure to the big, first.
Yeah,
great.
absolutely agree.
Yep.
Yeah, it's. I think it should stay.
And look, there may be certain things like that will, yeah. There may be certain things like that will just purely by mistake will say, oh, that's a brilliant idea. Yeah, we're going to have more of that. We're seeing that the AFL, and I don't want to talk about other sports, but in this case I will. They've come with modified rules, and some people are for it, some people are against it, some people are saying it works, some people are saying it doesn't work. Sport will polarize people no matter what. Some people will watch the same game and have 2 completely different observations, whatever. So and so too with this. So some people probably agree with it, although that 5 substitute rule is probably aimed more at the the professional leagues, because they've got bigger squads and they've got the benches can actually fit 5. How many lower league grounds down here in Victoria, Craig, can actually fit 5 substitutes? Some of them are very.
Yeah, well, Kev Thurman's just come up, but touching on what you just said then, Daniel, about giving the youngsters an opportunity, and Kev's just come up and said 3 on a bench, and 2 of those must be at least under 21. That's a great way of getting kids the opportunity. Yeah. So, but just going back to your question, there's no benches in Victoria that would fit 5 substitutes, don't you?
You'd have to clear out the home and the away bench and use that as one bench, and then use another one. Yeah. So there are obviously
Dan, thanks for calling in, mate, and thanks for your support over there in Moscow, and say hello to your lovely wife for me.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Doing a good job. I love listening in.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Daniel. Great to have you on board, and certainly stay more and more active as we go along. Throw some comments in so we know that you're coming to us from all the way from Moscow. So there we go. We've got an international caller as well. Our first international caller. How good is that, Craig?
Yeah, he's great. He's a great lad, Dan. I know he listens, and he's just said he listens. I see him pop up every week, and he's one of the nicest young lads I've ever had the pleasure of coaching. He's just a real down-to-earth guy. So wish him all the best out there in Moscow.
There we go. Well, on that note, we're going to finish on a high. We had some great listeners, callers in tonight. Mario Gregorio, president of Cryo Soccer Club, Kevin Thuma, John Sultana, and then culminating with Daniel from Moscow. Don't forget, tune in every Thursday night from 7 o'clock on this very Facebook page, Football Out West Show. It's going to be a big one next week. It's going to be another interesting one with lots of interesting guests. We have that every week in, week out. Also, if you can't wait until Thursday to get your fix, on Tuesday night at 6 p.m. on the Geelong Region Soccer News Facebook page, it's the Geelong Region Soccer Show as well. And I do believe we will have a strength and conditioning coach who was a well-known local footballer. Won't say his name just yet because we haven't yet signed the contract yet and signed on the dotted line. But he will be talking about preventing injuries in this preseason ahead of us, particularly for younger players, and what is the best way to prepare your teams from a strength and conditioning point of view as we start to approach what we hope will be the start or the restart of the 2020 football season. So it should be compelling viewing. That's on Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Craig, it's been an absolute pleasure having your company yet again.
Likewise, Tonci. Likewise, thanks to everybody that's contributed again tonight. Lines were a little bit slow to start off with, but we had a few people ring up in the end, and thanks to them for getting involved. And let's when the season kicks off proper, Tonci, I think Sunday nights, as you said earlier on, will be a different kettle of fish for us because we'll have lots to talk about games. Hopefully get some videos from games from the weekend coming on, and get some more insight from the fixtures. So, but another good show. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and keep it coming.
All the very best, and hopefully by that stage as well, The Voice is finished, because all those people that are tuning into The Voice, they will not be tuning into The Voice. They'll be tuning into our program. On that matter, good night, and hope you have a fantastic week.